A very good evening to all my dear students. I welcome you on behalf of ICAI for this session of Audit and Auditors, CA Interlaw that we have been doing. Chapter number 10. A very good evening, Balesh, Nanda, Kasak, Abhishek, Pallavi, Pranav, all of you children. Good evening, Hardik, Khushi, Sukhveer, Sanya, Ritika, Dilip, everyone children. Welcome to the class. I hope you have revised section number 139 and 140 very well. Today we are going to proceed towards 141, 142, 143, as well as a very important section that is 144. So as we always follow the ritual of having a revision before we start a new topic. Good evening, Manoj, Ratimilani, Asta, Mandi, and those who have just joined the class. Good evening, everyone, Praveen, everybody. All right. So as we always follow this ritual of revising what we have done in the previous class, and then we'll proceed ahead. So quickly tell me, is it compulsory to have an audit committee? Is it compulsory for every company to have an audit committee? And if you feel that it is not compulsory, then which are the companies for which it is compulsory to have the audit committee? Very good. Kasak and Nanda Goyal are the first one to give the correct answer, but you also have to tell me, children, which are the companies which are required to have the audit committee, since we're doing the chapter of audit and auditors. The first topic, section 177, that we did from this chapter number 10 was the forming of the audit committee. So you all have to quickly tell me. Excellent. It is not compulsory for all the companies. It is only the companies which are having the paid up capital of public companies of more than 10 crores or more, turnover of 100 crores or more, and the aggregate loans and borrowings if it is exceeding 50 crores. Any of these conditions, if it is being met for 3 consecutive years, then it is compulsory for them to have the audit committee. Everybody, well done. Now, the next quiz question that goes to the class is there is a separate procedure for appointment of first auditors and subsequent auditors, or it is the same overall? So the board of directors are required to appoint the first auditors. So is it compulsory that the subsequent auditor is also to be appointed by the board? This is for the normal companies I'm asking, not for the government companies. Yes, ma'am, it is different for both. Very good, Ritika Gupta, Nanda and Abhishek Mishra. But then you have to tell me, okay, Nayan Patel says after 5 years. So shareholders will be appointing in the general meeting the subsequent auditors, and the first auditor is appointed by the board of directors and subsequently by the committee or the shareholders. Very good. Excellent, all of you. So next question is, for a normal company other than government company, if I appoint the auditor, when I open the company, I appoint the first auditors by board of directors. That auditor will hold the office till the conclusion of first AGM or till the conclusion of 6th AGM. Tell me. First auditor will hold the office till the first AGM. Can the same auditor be appointed for 5 more years? Excellent, excellent answers given by all of you. Dilip, Pallavi, Sanya, Aisha, Ritika. Good, 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 Hardik. Very nice, very nice. Can the same person, yes, till first AGM, but if he is appointed again, then after cooling period. No, Abhishek Mishra, not after cooling period. No, every year change, Hardik is saying. Others have said yes, that is correct answer. So I'm not asking about government company, children. There is a rule different for government company. We have an auditor which is appointed at every year. A new auditor is appointed. But for the case of company other than government companies, if you appoint the first auditor, he will hold the office till the first AGM. But I told you that the same auditor can hold the office for 5 more years. So you'll not say that he's being counted for 6 years. Yes, Pallavi Jha, very good. Only in case of government company, every year the auditors changes. Nayan Patel is good. 6th AGM, he can hold the office. It will not be counted that he has been appointed for 6 years. So it will be a fresh appointment for the 5 years because he can hold the office. See, auditor will hold the office from first AGM till the conclusion of 6th AGM, and thereafter, after every conclusion of every, from 6th to 11th, 11th to 16th, that is what we have discussed. Now, if there is a disagreement between the audit committee and board of directors, then what will the board do? They will send the recommendation, fresh recommendation to the audit committee, and audit committee will have to reconsider their decision. But still, if the disagreement continues, then the board of director will pass the board resolution appointing a new auditor. Is that clear, everyone? Now let's discuss the procedure for the government audit. Who appoints the auditor in case of a government company? Who appoints the auditor? The first auditor in government company is appointed by C&AG, Excellent Comptroller and Auditor General. Within how many days do you remember? 60 days from the date of registration. And if C&AG fails to appoint, then within how many days the board will appoint? Then within 30 days the board will appoint. And still, if the board will not, excellent answers. Oh my God, look at these children. Sukhbir, Hardik, Pallavi, Abhishek, Mishra, Ritika, Gupta, Manvi. Very nice. Wonderful answers. And if still they take time, next 30 days, next 60 days will be given to the shareholders. Very nice. So shareholders will appoint the auditor within the 60 days in the general meeting, and who will hold the office till the conclusion of first AGM. Any casual vacancy? How is the casual vacancy to be filled in? What is the meaning of casual vacancy, first of all? If the auditor has left before the term for which he has been appointed, it's a temporary vacancy created. How it has to be filled in? Now, since it's an important time of emergency, now 60 days will not be given, 30 days will be given to C&AG also to fill this casual vacancy, which has resulted either because of the resignation or he has just left it. And in 3 months of the recommendation of the board, he will hold the office till the conclusion of the first AGM. You remember we did the questions also related to these points. Yes, excellent. Nanda, Kasar, Kritika Gupta. Others are still thinking upon that. Tambeshwari, Pallavi Jha, very good. Manvi, excellent. Okay, and a retiring auditor will not be reappointed in the annual general meeting. What are the 3 points? If he's not disqualified from reappointment, if he has given the notice in writing of his unwillingness, then he will not be reappointed. Or the special notice has been passed, passing a special resolution that he shall not be reappointed. Then these are the 3 particular cases that we have discussed, that in such cases, the retiring auditor will not be reappointed. Clear, everyone? So you recall, when you revise, you recall whatever you have done, whatever you have practiced. Okay? Yeah, wonderful. So removal of auditor and resignation of auditor. First, my question goes to you is, when the auditor is appointed under section 139, then within how many days we need to inform the ROC, and in which form? Because we only have 4 forms in this chapter, so we have to learn all the forms. Excellent. ADT 1 form will be filed with the ROC within 15 days of the appointment of the auditor. Very nice. 5 days? Yes, 15 days. Abhishek Mishra, it's not 30 days. This is the first time when we are filing with within the 15 days. Anil Army, Pallavi, Manvi, all of you correct. Good. Aisha, Sukhbir Kaur, nice. And what is the ADT 2 form used for? When you want to remove the auditor. Now, my question to the class is, can you remove the auditor without seeking the approval from the central government? Do you think it is compulsory to seek the approval from the central government, or we can remove the auditor without the permission of central government also? No, ma'am, it is not possible, because the procedure itself says that if any auditor is being removed before the expiry of term, number 1, special resolution will be passed, and also you have to obtain the approval from the central government in the form ADT 2, and opportunity of being heard also to be given. So I have one important examination question coming up for all of you, in which you will have to write all these points. So in that revision, I'm going to cover again few points of section 139 and 140, because it is very, very important. But again, the session will be very long today, because whole of the section 143 will be done in today's class. Okay, so it is important that you remember these sections nicely, you practice them, so that whatever is being done ahead, you don't forget it. Yes, it is compulsory to give the opportunity of being heard. All right, so you all remember, and this is the rule 7 that we have read. How is the procedure? Application will be made within 30 days. He will hold the general meeting with 16 days of the approval received from the central government. And also special notice under section 115 is given. So you remember all these points. After that, we also discussed the resignation of the auditor. So if I ask you one thing, that if any auditor wants to resign, he gives a notice to the company that I will not be coming to the work from tomorrow. Can the company stop him from resigning? Can the company say that no, 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 you cannot? Can the company stop the auditor from resigning? Is there any such kind of provision? No, ma'am, company cannot stop. Once he has given the form, ADT 3 will be given for the resignation, and he will give this notice and he can leave the organization. Company cannot stop him from resigning. And what was this tribunal orders? What is the procedure? The auditor can be removed either by central government, by shareholder, or even by the tribunal. He can also be removed by the tribunal. So when does the tribunal remove the auditor? Remember, if any fraud is being committed, then it will be held, order will be passed by the tribunal that he shall not be appointed as the auditor for a period of 5 years, and also 447 action will be taken against him. He can either, if there is a condition of fraud, he will immediately remove and change the auditor. Otherwise, he will direct the company that they shall change the auditor. And within how many days the tribunal will change the auditor if there is a kind of a situation where they want to change it immediately? Very good, Hardik. Within 15 days. Very nice, Ritika, Pallavi, Manvi, Tambeshwari, all of you. Abhishek, Mishra, Anil. So only those students whose name I'm repetitively taken are only writing the answer. I don't know what others are doing. So we have 54 students and many of the students are there on the portal also. I hope everybody over here, everybody is understanding. So any doubts still here, children? Anyone wants to ask anything? Because these are the topics that we have already done in the previous class, and it's a quick revision and recap of everything. Let me see, the students' name is not coming over here. All right, Joa Praveen, Bala Murugan, Ankit Mishra. Okay, now I can see your messages. Nancy has written a good answer. Very good, Nancy. Hingu, Divya. All right. Yes, Bala Murugan, it's 15 days. And you remember that it is ADT 3 for the resignation. Very good, Joa Praveen, everyone. Good children, good. Transitional period. Abhishek Mishra has it out in transitional period. So, Abhishek, for the transitional period, they simply try to tell you that if any auditor is, when the act was commenced in 2014, so what happened? Companies Act 2013 was amended like 1956. Earlier, we had Companies Act 1956. Whole of the act got replaced when Companies Act 2013 came. So it was made applicable from 1st April 2014. So law says the transitional provisions that now that we have made it compulsory that the auditor can be appointed as an auditor for 5 years if you're an individual, and if you're an audit firm, then for 5 years, 5 years, 10 years, and then you go into the cooling period. So earlier, before this, we were not following this kind of structure. So that's why it is clearly written that during the transitional period, we decided to give you additional 3 years. That means if today you have completed 8 years, then 3 years will be given to you that you can take this transitional period. It is that is actually you can only be appointed for, if you're an audit firm, you can only be appointed for 10 years, right? Is that clear? But now since it has been 8 years, we cannot immediately tell you that look, you have to be only for 10 years. Now you please leave. We will give them additional 3 years. So we will give them 3 years. If an audit person individual has been appointed for 5 years, then also we'll give him 3 years. After that, you can follow the same procedure of cooling and then being appointed for 5 years and then again going down to the cooling period. If you want, I can take this topic from the book also, but I think we have discussed it earlier also. I hope, Abhishek, it's clear, or you want me to take it from the book as well? All right, it's clear. That's great. That's great. Good. So let's move to the new topic of today, section 141. Have we done, children, 141? I think we are about to start with 141. Please confirm me in the message. And this is the summary of filing ADT 3 in case of a government company within 30 days of the resignation, and other cases also the same. The only thing is here you have to file with CNAG also. And here, what is the ADT 3 form? Removal or resignation? Okay, thank you for clearing it. That 141 we have to start. Good, good, good. It is for resignation. Absolutely correct. And this is a small penalty. If you don't comply with these provisions, then this is the penalty of 50,000 or an amount equal to the remuneration. So this chapter only have three penalties. So please try to learn them, because the chapter like audit and auditors, your bigger chapters like FEMA, LLP, they have, and deposits, registration of charges, they have lesser penalties. So you please try to learn them so that at least you can retain this much information in your mind. And if you get straight away MCQ question, then you can write. All right, now let's start about the eligibility, qualification, and disqualification of the auditors. Who can actually work as an auditor? We have discussed how the auditor is appointed. We have discussed how the auditor is removed or he's actually leaving his office place. Now we are going to talk about who actually is an auditor. So who is an auditor? A chartered accountant who is working with an HDFC bank, he is not into practice. Can we appoint that chartered accountant as an auditor of a firm? Can he take up stat audit? No, ma'am. Why? Because only a practicing chartered accountant can be appointed as an auditor of the company who holds a valid certificate of practice. So you become a chartered accountant tomorrow, you started working with organizations which are into practice like associations, partnership firms, LLPs, then you can be appointed as an auditor. But if you're working in other corporate sectors, you're into service industry, you're not into practice, you are into job, then you cannot be appointed as the auditor. A firm can also be appointed whose majority of the partners are practicing, can be qualified for appointment by its firm's name. Who shall sign if the firm is appointed as the auditor? Firm includes LLP, very important point. So if I ask you, can you appoint LLP as the auditor? Yes, ma'am, LLP can be appointed. CA in practice can be appointed. And firm where majority of the partners are in practice can be appointed. And where the firm including LLP is appointed, only the partners who are CAs shall be authorized to act. So sometimes you form an LLP where there are 4 CAs and you have kept 3 of MBA finance people and 2 of lawyers are also working with you. So only these 4 chartered accountants who are holding a valid certificate of practice, they can only sign the audit report. Others cannot sign because एक CA के पास ही power है to sign the audit report. That is what makes you different. CA in practice means, Nanda Goyal is asking what is the meaning of CA in practice. Okay, nice question. So CA in practice means that one who is holding a valid certificate of practice. Practice means that you are doing business of as a chartered accountant. You have your own firm. Okay, when you become a chartered accountant, you have 2 ways of following in your directions. Either you can become after becoming a chartered accountant, you can open up your own office, you can have your own practice, means you're doing business. So chartered accountant who wants to, that is the term which we use in our language, that is you're doing practice, you have to take a certificate of practice from the Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. You have to apply for that. So there are other chartereds, like if you ask me, I'm CA Harleen Kaur, I'm into teaching, I'm into different kind of profession, I'm not into practice. So you have wide scope of opportunities once you become a chartered accountant. Earlier, most of the CAs only used to go for the audit and taxation. Now we have diversified our field. So there can be a CA, there can be many teachers who are taking up classes with you, but they're also into practice. So that is also absolutely fine. But if you have a valid certificate of practice, then only you can sign the audit report. You need to have a certification of practice. All right. Is that clear? Own office. Yes, not in a company. Very good, ma'am. And only the partner who is a CA will only sign. In LLP also. These people 3 and 2, which are lawyers in MD Finance, they cannot sign the audit report. Is that clear, everyone? Now, disqualification of auditors is this is the qualification of an auditor. Who is an auditor? A chartered accountant in practice can be appointed as the auditor. So the list of disqualification from A to H is very, very, very important. So till here, A to I, J, K. So it's still K, it's not the H. So all this list of disqualification of auditor is very, very important. Each and every point we are going to discuss in detail. If you feel like making short notes, please keep your registers, pens ready. Whatever I'm going to tell you, you can give it a heading, disqualification of auditors, and keep making down your notes because these are important points that we are going to discuss. All right. So number one point is a body corporate other than LLP is disqualified. Disqualified means who will not be appointed as an auditor. So if I ask you children, ABC Limited is a firm, ABC Limited is a public company. Can we appoint ABC Limited as an auditor? Yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am? Absolutely correct. No, ma'am, because it's a body corporate. So it says body corporate other than LLP. Children, LLP is also a body corporate, you remember? LLP is also a body corporate, but it is a partnership kind of structure it has. Its structure is body corporate, but it is the mixture of it has the flexibility of partnership and corporate structure it has got from the Companies Act. So LLP can be appointed as an auditor. Write in your notebooks, LLP can be appointed as the auditor. But body corporate means a company cannot be appointed as the auditor. Clear, everyone? First point. Second point, an officer or employee of the company. Officer or employee of the company. So now auditor is appointed for whom? For example, we are appointing the auditor for AB Private Limited. This is the company for whom we are appointing the auditor. So what is the qualification of an auditor? You just learned right now. Ma'am, Mr. P, who is a chartered accountant, suppose he is being appointed as the auditor of the company AB Private Limited. Everybody is clear about this? There's a company AB Private Limited and I have appointed a CA who is holding a certificate of practice. His business is to do the audit of the companies and he's having a valid certification practice. Mr. P has its own office. He's working as PQR Associates. Either the PQR Associates firm can be appointed as the auditor or Mr. P as an individual can be appointed as the auditor. Fair enough. Now, if this Mr. P is a chartered accountant and he is working as an employee with AB Private Limited, can he be appointed as an auditor? आप मेरी ही कंपनी में मेरे ऑफिसर हो या एम्प्लॉय हो, क्या मेरी कंपनी का ऑडिट करोगे? आप अपनी कंपनी का ही ऑडिट करो? No, ma'am, that is not possible. So this is the meaning of this line. Officer or employee of the company means you should not be the officer and employee of the company which company you're doing the audit. A person who is a partner or an employment of the officer or employee of the company. Now this, if Mr. P is my employee, now Mr. P has a partner, Mr. Q. He's also an employee in my company and he has a partnership with Mr. Q. Can Mr. Q be appointed as my auditor? Now Mr. Q also get disqualified. Very good, Pallavi Jha. Auditor should be independent person. He should not be a part of my organization. But we cannot simply learn that. We have to open up all these points and learn because section 141 is a very detailed topic. They would have given you like this only that the auditor should be independent, but they're giving you who an auditor cannot be. So can we appoint Mr. P if he is an officer of the company? No, ma'am. Can we appoint Mr. Q because he's a partner of the officer or employee of the company? Can we appoint Mr. Q as an auditor? Answer me. Yes, Joya, Praveen, Divya, all of you. Nancy, correct. Aditya, I hope that transitional period point is now clear to all of you. Aditya D, you have written some query over here. Very good. All of you have given the correct answer. No, ma'am. Mr. Q can also not be appointed because he's working as a partner of the officer or employee of the company. 3 points clear to everyone. Mr. Anil, a chartered accountant, is a partner of the firm and he has been appointed as auditor of Lakshman Limited in the AGM, in which he accepted the assignment. Subsequently, in January 2024, he offered Bharat, another chartered accountant who is finance manager of Lakshman Limited, to join the firm of Anil as a partner. Now, what is happening over here? Anil is an independent person. He is a chartered accountant. He's not working with the Lakshman Limited. So can he be appointed as an auditor? Yes, ma'am. He can be appointed. He's a CA. He is holding a practice of certification. Yes, he can be appointed. And he is being appointed in the AGM, which is held in within valid dates. And he accepted the assignment. No problem with him. Any person. But subsequently in January 24, he offered Bharat, another CA, to join the firm. Now what happened? Bharat is a manager or employee of the company. He has become partner of the auditor. So any person who is a partner or employment of the officer of the company will be disqualified to act as an auditor. Therefore, now subsection 4 of section 141 becomes applicable, and any of the disqualification, he will have to vacate his office. So 141 section tells you, this is section 141. Subsection 1 and 2 tells you about the qualification. Subsection 3, read with rule 10, tells you about the disqualification. So subsection 3 defines that any person now who becomes a partner, who is an officer or employee of the company, now he will have to vacate his office. What kind of vacancy has been created? Ma'am, this is a casual vacancy because he had to leave his office, because immediately he becomes associated with any kind of employee of the company, he will have to vacate his office. Casual vacancy has seemed to have been created. So Anil as the auditor and employee become the partner, where Anil is a partner. In case this happens, the firm shall deem to have vacate the office of this. And how this casual vacancy has to be filled, you all know about the casual vacancy. Okay. All right. So, okay, somebody has asked a question. Nanda Goyal, Anil has been appointed as an auditor. Na? So now he becomes associated with the employee of the company. So now since this disqualification becomes applicable, because so both of them cannot be appointed as the auditor. Okay. All right. Let's do the point number D now. A person himself or his partner. Now this is very, very important. Listen very carefully. A person himself means Mr. P जिसको हमने auditor appoint करा, ठीक है, he is a chartered accountant. He himself or his partner, who was his partner? Mr. Q. A person himself or his partner is holding any security or interest in the company or in the subsidiary holding or associate of the company or a subsidiary of such holding company. मतलब सबको ले लिया, कंपनी के सारे रिलेशनशिप, either in the AB Private Limited or AB Private Limited subsidiary, AB Private Limited's holding company, its associate company, or subsidiary of such holding company. This means fellow subsidiary, or his relative or a partner. Very interesting. So if Mr. P himself or his partner, Mr. Q, is holding any kind of security or interest in company AB Private Limited, can they be appointed as the auditor? No, ma'am. He cannot. Both of them, yes, absolutely correct. Both of them cannot be appointed if they are holding any kind of interest in the securities of the company. Or his relative or partner is holding, then also they will not be eligible to be qualified. So Ashish is a practicing chartered accountant. He is holding the securities of XYZ Limited up to the face value of 900 rupees. Can he be disqualified from being appointed as an auditor? Now, there is a provision to this. It says 141(3)(b)(1). There is a point B1 which says Companies Act 9, holding of the securities up to 1,000 by the auditor was not the disqualification. The current act, not even a single rupee holding by the auditor is allowed. You can't even have a single rupee holding. Okay, you cannot even have a single rupee holding, means you cannot hold any kind of money or security in the company. So the auditor is disqualified to be appointed if he's holding any security. In the present case, Ashish is holding security of 900 rupees in XYZ Limited. Therefore, he is not eligible for the appointment of the company. Is that clear? Everyone, illustration 7 is clear. Yes, therefore he is disqualified. Absolutely correct. He will not be eligible for appointment, means he is disqualified from being appointed as the auditor. All right. Now, E point is very, very interesting. A person whose relative is holding the security or interest in the company up to the face value of 1 lakh, that person is allowed. Now, ma'am, you just now told us that Mr. P, who is an auditor, chartered accountant, or his partner, Mr. Q, if they're holding any kind of security, you'll not be appointed. But if I am a relative of Mr. P, and I am, who is the relative? Mother, father, sister, brother, sister, all section 2, subsection 77 that you have done the definition of relative. Any of the relative is holding security in the company or its holding company or subsidiary of such company of the face value exceeding 1 lakh. That means if my relative is holding the securities up to the face value of 1 lakh, then I'm not disqualified. If my relative is holding a security up to the face value of 1 lakh, then I'm not disqualified. That means then I can still be appointed as the auditor. P is a practicing chartered accountant and Q is the relative of P, is holding securities having a face value of 90,000. Is P qualified or disqualified? Tell me without cheating the answer. He is qualified. Very good. Aisha, Kashish, Nanda Goel. Absolutely correct. Ritika. What is his name? Shweta. Good. Pranav, Anil, Abhishek, Hardik qualified because okay. Don't worry, Hardik. I will explain you why the point of relative again. Don't worry. I will explain. If Ashish sold his securities, now he's holding any securities. Yes, Pallavi. If he's not holding any securities, then he can be appointed. Qualified. Kushi Singh. Very good. Everybody has answered illustration 8 correctly. If my relative is holding the securities up till the face value of 1 lakh, then I'm not disqualified. As per section this, auditor is disqualified if he or his relative or partner hold any securities in the company, subsidiary, holding, or subsidiary of the holding company, any of these companies. Further, the relative may hold the securities of 1 lakh. So, Hardik, your valid question, ma'am, in point number D also it is written the word relative. So, actually, point number E is an exception to point number D, where he's saying that neither I can hold the security, nor my relative can hold, nor my partner, nobody can hold. But the only exception is that if the relative is holding up till 1 lakh, then you can be the auditor. So here he reads it clearly. Auditor is disqualified if he or his relative or his partner is holding any security in the company. Further, as per the proviso to the section. So this E point is actually the proviso to the section. Okay. Further, the proviso says that up till the face value of 1 lakh, you're allowed. So Q is having securities of up till 1 lakh, then he is meeting the requirements of provision. Therefore, he will not be disqualified. A relative holds securities in the company of face value not exceeding rupees 1 lakh, but here a literal interpretation, reasonable construction is required. Holding of all the relatives together should be checked. Now, another point. One point is you cannot hold the securities. Another point is relative can hold the securities up till the face value of 1 lakh. It is written exceeding 1 lakh. So Manvi, if Manvi is a relative of Mr. P and Manvi is holding the securities of 1 lakh, then Mr. P is qualified or disqualified? Qualified. Everybody correct. Because up till 1 lakh is allowed. Okay. If Manvi and Harshpreet Kaur, both are relatives, Manvi is holding 1 lakh, Harshpreet is holding 20,000. Now Mr. P is qualified or disqualified? Disqualified because ma'am exceeding 1 lakh ho gaya and relatives taken together, aggregate of all of them. Very good. Excellent answer. Even if relative of one of the partner holds securities exceeding the threshold, not only such partner of the firm shall, not only such partner, even the firm will not be eligible to be appointed. Okay? All of the firm will become disqualified. The threshold condition wherever it is applicable in the case of a company not having share capital, not important. If the relative, now this is important, very, very important, the fourth point. So we have done 3 points related to this relative point. Point number D related, we have done 3 points. Number 1, you cannot hold securities, neither your partner nor relative. Point number 2, up till 1 lakh is allowed. Point number 3, threshold limit 1. All the aggregate value of the relatives is to be taken. Point number 4, I'm doing. I told you sit with your notes, registers and pens so that you keep marking down and making points. It will become very, very easy for you the way I'm telling you. Okay. So point number 4 is very, very interesting. Now, during the period, Mr. P was appointed as the auditor because you're just holding 90,000 face value. Yes, ma'am. Then Mr. P can be appointed as the auditor. But during the continuation of the audit, Mr. P acquired more holding securities. It exceeded 1 lakh. Now Mr. P becomes disqualified, but 60 days will be given to you to take a corrective action. It says if any relative acquires above the prescribed threshold limit, corrective action to maintain the limits will be given to the auditor within 60 days. So we'll tell Mr. P, look, now your relative is holding more than 1 lakh face value, you will get disqualified. So you have a time of 60 days, that is 2 months roughly. Please correct this, either reduce the number of securities or you get disqualified. Fair enough. 4 points are clear. Let's read illustration 9. It will be crystal clear to all my students. BCN company is an audit firm having partners B, C, and A. The relative, Mr. C, is holding securities in MWF, having the face value of 1,10,000. Can we say the firm is qualified for the appointment or no? Yes or no? Jaldi se bata do. Qualified or no? Why? Why no? Because exceeding 1 lakh of the securities, relative is holding exceeding 1 lakh. Very good, very good, very good. Auditor is disqualified because he's holding the security in the company, subsidiary company. अच्छा वो एग्जाम में क्या देगा? In holding in the subsidiary of the company. Subsidiary में भी नहीं कर सकते, associate में भी नहीं कर सकते, holding में भी नहीं कर सकते, subsidiary of such holding company में भी नहीं कर सकते. The relative hold the securities up till 1 lakh, then he is not disqualified. In the ancient case, the relative is holding more than of the limit, therefore the firm becomes disqualified. Everyone is clear about this D point and E point. We have divided into 4 different points. I hope you all have written those 4 points. Yes, Nanda Goyal and fellow subsidiary also. If you're holding, then also you become disqualified. Now, point number F. A person who himself or partner or relative is indebted to the company security or holding subsidiary associate for rupees 5 lakhs exceeding rupees 5 lakh. Now, F point is also very, very interesting. So F point tries to tell you that if there is an auditor, Mr. P, and he has to give certain money to AB Private Limited, which is in excess of 5 lakh. Indebted means company को पैसा देना है, उधार चढ़ा हुआ है आपके ऊपर. You are indebted towards the company. Maybe company, you are one of the supplier of the company and you need to pay the company the money. So if you're indebted in excess of 5 lakh rupees, you cannot be appointed as an auditor. Simple. If my relative, Mr. P's relative has given certain loan or has taken certain loan, has to pay back the company rupees 5 lakh rupees, can Mr. P be appointed as the auditor? If the relative of Mr. P is indebted to the company for 5 lakh rupees. Yes, yes, Nanda Goyal, in our example, that is the company which is going to be audited. Somebody's writing yes, ma'am. Somebody's writing ma'am. So you tell me whether he is qualified or disqualified, because your yes and no is confusing me. What are you trying to say? My question is, my relative of yes, Pranav Nanda Goyal. Now it is correct. He is qualified because I said only 5 lakh. Very good. Very. So yes, ma'am, qualified is the correct answer. Tambeshwari says disqualified. No, Tambeshwari, not disqualified. Aggregate. Yes, Abhishek Mishra. Again, it will be applicable to the aggregate of the auditor and his relative. Absolutely correct. Within 5 lakh limit, he is qualified. So, Queer Core, absolutely correct. So, Tambeshwari, if it is exceeding 5 lakh, then you become disqualified. But your partner, your relative, you yourself, up till 5 lakh rupees, you can be appointed as the auditor. Is that clear, everyone? A person whose relative or partner has given any guarantee or security in connection with the indebtedness of any third person. Now, company, certain person has to pay the company money to the company, and you have given certain guarantee or provided any security in excess of 1 lakh rupees, then also you become disqualified. So, if you have if you're holding securities under 141(3), you become disqualified. The only exception is your relative can hold up to face value of rupees 1 lakh. Fine. If you are indebted to the company in excess of 5 lakh rupees, qualified or disqualified? Himself or relative? Both. In excess of 5 lakh rupees. Disqualified. And if you have given any guarantee or security, amount batao. How much amount? Exceeds 1 lakh rupees. Disqualified. Fair enough. Clear to everyone? So if I am a company, AB Private Limited, and I'm appointing the auditor, Mr. P, he has given a guarantee of 1 lakh rupees to my company. Can Mr. P be appointed as the auditor? Is he qualified to be appointed or is disqualified? Yes, ma'am, he is qualified because up to 1 lakh, if you have given the guarantee, then there is no problem. Exceeding 1 lakh, then there is a problem. And if I'm indebted to the company for 3 lakh rupees, can I be appointed as the auditor? Yes, ma'am, I can be appointed as the, yes, you can be appointed as the auditor. Good, good, good. Absolutely correct. Good, nice children. So I hope you have understood till point number 3. Everything is clear. A firm or a person who directly or indirectly has business relationship with the company. Now, this is very straightforward point. You are my business partner. How can you be appointed as an auditor in my firm? So either Mr. A, who is doing business with me, or there is an ABC associates firm which is doing business with me, or my subsidiary, or my associate, or my holding, they cannot be appointed as my auditor. But there are two exceptions to this. यहाँ पे आप लिखोगे, there are two exceptions to this point. What are the exceptions? If you are giving the transactions in the professional services nature, there is a firm ABC Associates which is rendering professional services. Maybe we have outsourced our bookkeeping or books of accounts or other kind of services to them. That kind of business relationship if we are having, or if we are doing in the ordinary course of business, we are doing business at arm's length price, like sale of the products to the auditor as customer by the companies engaged in telecommunication, airlines, hospitals, hotels, other businesses. If you are doing the sale of products as a customer, then what you have to remember is arm's length price. Arm's length price is the terminology which is used in transfer pricing, which tells you that there is a procedure of calculating a price. We are not doing as we do in the ordinary course of business at a distant price relationship we are having. We are not a related party. Then you can still be appointed as the auditor. So if the firm or the person is in your business relationship, then you cannot be appointed as the auditor. But number one, if you're doing it in the professional services, then yes, you can be appointed as the auditor. If you're doing in the ordinary course of business at arm's length price, then you can be appointed as the auditor. So if Mr. P is having business connections with the AB Private Limited firm, can Mr. P be appointed as the auditor? Yes, ma'am, only if he is following under the exceptions that he's rendering professional services, or if he is doing it at arm's length price, then he can be appointed. Otherwise, he will not be eligible to be appointed as the auditor. Is this point clear to everyone? Now, point number I. If you are a relative, a person whose relative is a director or in the employment of the company. Now, Mr. P, whom I am appointing as an auditor, his sister is working as a relative in my country, as a director in my company. So Mr. P has a sister. She is working as a CEO of my company or director of my company. Can you appoint their brother sisters in the same company as an auditor? You cannot appoint. They're already having the family relationship in the business. So you cannot have these kind of relationship. Or if they're working as a key managerial personnel or as a director in your company, you cannot appoint them as the auditor. मतलब ऑडिटर का जो रिश्तेदार है वो आपकी कंपनी में रिलेटिव या आपकी कंपनी में डायरेक्टर या एम्प्लॉयमेंट में नहीं हो सकता. हिंदी में those who are asking. Okay, so point number I simply tries to tell you that you cannot have the relative as a director in the company. A person who is in the full-time employment elsewhere. So if I am full-time employed in HDFC Bank, can I take up the audit of ABC Limited? Tell me. So then how will I do my work now? I am already employed with HDFC Bank. I have my duties. There is a conflict of interest kind of situation in this case. You cannot do your own business when you're doing working somewhere else. Okay, if you're in full-time employment. So part-time, Nayan Patel, when they have written in the law, full-time is not allowed. So we can assume, if we take it in the interpretation of law, that yes, if you're a part-time person, you're working somewhere else, then you can take up the practice with somebody. Okay. And point K is very, very important. A person or a partner holding appointment, if such person on the date of appointment or reappointment is not holding of more than 20 companies. So what is the limit that you can have is for 20 companies. A person or a partner of a firm. So ABC Associates associates can also have 20 audits of the company, and Mr. A, as a chartered accountant, can also have 20 audits of a company. But while calculating the limit of 20, OPC, private companies, small companies having a paid up share capital of less than 100 crores will not be included. Very, very important provision. Now, one was important provision related to holding of securities. Another important provisions we are going to do in this point number K. First of all, you can have 20 audits you can do. Second point, which are the companies which are not to be included? So if I'm doing audit of 19 companies, if I'm doing the audit of 19 companies and the 20th company is OPC and 21st company is small companies and 22nd company is private companies having less than 100 crores of the paid up share capital. So how many will, whether I'm doing it within the ceiling limit of 20 or not, you will count it as 19. Very good. 19. Good, 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 because these are not to be included within the limit of 20. OPCs, which what companies are not to be counted in the limit? OPC, small companies, private company having the paid up share capital less than 100 crore. The exceptions are only applicable to those company 137 and 92 में default नहीं करना annual return and registers बनाने में. Before this appointment, the company must take a certificate to the effect that the appointment will not result in excess of holding of the audit of company audit by the concern. So every company, while appointing the auditor, remember this certification that we take from the auditor, that I am not holding audit of more than the section 141 subsection 3 clause G limit. Okay, the limit shall not be exceeding. ABN company is an audit firm having 3 partners, A, B, and C. A, B, and C are holding appointment as auditors in 4, 6, and 10 companies respectively. So A is appointed as an auditor in 4 companies, B is appointed as an auditor in 6 companies, and C is appointed as an auditor in 10 companies. What is the maximum number of audits that they have? Now, this is a very interesting point. In aggregate, all the 3 partners are having 20 audits. But what does it say is, a person shall not be eligible for the auditor appointment if he's in the... First, let me read the question. They are the audit firms, their partners provide the maximum number of audits and audits remaining in the name of individual partners A, B, and C. So point number G says that you shall not be in the full-time employment elsewhere, or a person or a partner holding appointment is on the date of appointment not holding more than 20 companies other than OPCs. This is the limit that they have written for you. This limit of 20 audits is per person. This limit of, now underline this word because they have not given this line over here. Please underline it nicely. The audit limit of 20% is per person. So 3 auditors, overall ceiling is 60. Sometimes a chartered accountant is a partner in the number of auditing firms. All the firms he is a partner together, he will be entitled to 20 company audits. So A, how many audits can be done by A? He can have 20 audits totally they are having, and remaining partners who are eligible can have 40 more. So A can have 16 more audits, B can do 14 more audits, C can do 10 more audits. Is that clear? Yes, Nayan Patel, that is the amount that they have invested in the business. That is absolutely correct. Provided the companies given in the question are not OPCs, dormant companies, small companies, because they are not included in counting the limit of 20 companies. Everyone is clear. And one last point. Okay, a person sorry, I and M. So you were correct. I think somebody wrote, ma'am, we have 2 more points related to this. A person who has been convicted by a court for an offense involving fraud for 10 years, he will not be eligible to be appointed as an auditor. So if Mr. P has been put behind the bars, he has been convicted by the court for an offense, he has done any fraud, for how many years he become disqualified? In 2024, if he is convicted in a fraud, for how many years he cannot be appointed? Until 10 years. So 2034 tak he cannot be appointed as the auditor in any company. And if you render any service under section 144 to any company, holding or subsidiary, then also you are not eligible to be appointed. Very important point in point number M. It is not talking about the associate company, children. Above all points we were talking about, if you are doing any holding securities or indebted to the company, subsidiary, holding, associate company, everywhere we were mentioning associate company also. The only point number M, 144 services, if you're renting to company, holding, subsidiary, then you're disqualified. But if Mr. P is rendering the services of 144, 144 I've not done with you, I will do it in a while. So whatever services are given under 144, if Mr. P is rendering services of 144 to an associate company of AV Private Limited, he's qualified or disqualified? Absolutely correct. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Everyone has given the correct answer. He is qualified. He is qualified. Good, good, good. Anjali Kashyap, Pranav, Hardik, Mahi, Kashish, Tambeshwari, Nanda Goel, Hardik, everyone. He is qualified. Yes, Dilip, for more than 20 times you're asking, so more than 20 companies you cannot have the audit. But same company, I told you, you cannot be appointed for more than 5 years. So you're appointed for the 5 years. For next 5 years, you go into the cooling period, and again you can be having a fresh appointment for the 5 years period. All right, and one last point in section 141, that is how the casual vacancy is to be filled. So casual vacancy is created with the person appointed incurs any of the disqualification. He shall vacate his office of the appointment. This shall deem to be the casual vacancy in the office of the auditor. So all the provisions of casual vacancy, how we fill the casual vacancy of government company, 30 days and 3 months of recommendation of the board, and how we fill the casual vacancy of the normal companies, all those provisions will become applicable in this very case also when the officer vacates his office. Is that clear? Everyone is clear? So section 141 is very lengthy, and we also have section 143 that we're going to do today is very lengthy. So I give you a small break here. Please read thoroughly section number 141, understand all the points, and if you have any doubts after the break, you can ask me the doubts. Let's take a small break here. So let me see those who have sent the doubts first. Okay, just a second. All right, ma'am, in point K, we will check the limit of 20 companies in aggregate. Yes, Manvi, in aggregate you have to check, but it depends the number of partners. For every partner, there is a limit of 20 companies. So if you're having 5 partners, then 5 each. So 100 companies you can do the audit. Okay. I'm ABC Limited. I have a subsidiary. He has shares in the company going to be audited. Can I be appointed as the auditor? So ABC Limited is a company, child, you're asking. So company anyways cannot be appointed as an auditor. But if you're asking the firm, if the firm is having any shares in your company, holding any securities, then yes, it cannot be. It is disqualified from being appointed as an auditor. In F point, Mr. P indebted 2.5 lakh, Mr. Q indebted 3 lakh. So disqualified. Yes, Tambeshwari, totality till 5 lakh if they're holding 2.5 and 3. So 5.5. In excess of 5 lakh, then yes, disqualified. Limit only in audit firm. Nayan Patel, what limit? Yes, 20 companies limit for each audit firm and for the auditors also. Yes, Nanda Goel, then it firm will be disqualified. Manoj, I hope your point is clear. Ma'am, last point M, can you explain once again? Didn't understand section 144. So Manoj, I'm going to explain you what is section 144. Then you will get clear. As of now, it has simply told you that if you are giving any services of 144, then you are disqualified from being appointed as an auditor. So 144, I'm just going to do with you. 10.28, third para not understood. Okay, Tambeshwari, I will take that point. Can you please repeat I 10 years point not clear? Okay, Mahi is saying that. Okay. Point number 10 years point is not clear. So Mahi 10 years point simply tries to tell you that if you get disqualified, like if you're convicted, okay, if we put you behind the bars, means you have been put into jail or any court has convicted you for any offense which involved fraud, then you are disqualified from being appointed as an auditor, and for 10 years you will not be appointed as an auditor. Okay, then for 10 years you will not be appointed as the auditor. Is that clear? So before we proceed ahead, let me just tell you section 144. Since we have given the reference to section 144, let us quickly do 144. What is the meaning of section number 144? Okay, Manoj says, okay, ma'am, in point G, in excess of 1 lakh is also aggregate. Yes, in excess of 1 lakh is also aggregate point to be taken, Hardik, in all the cases. If two auditors audit of a same company, then it should be counted as 1 and 20 companies limit or 2. So Dilip, if there are 2 partners, 40 companies is the limit. If 2 auditors of the audit firm, if you're talking that the 2 partners, then 40 is the limit. Okay. For the firm, we have the limit of 20 companies depending upon the number of partners. Ma'am, for 10 years of that company only or all the other companies? So Ritika Gupta, for 10 years for that respective, for all the companies, you're disqualified for 10 years. Okay. You will not be appointed as the auditor for any of the companies. Yes, Anil Army, it is a prohibition of certain services under 144. That is what we're going to do. Okay, Tameshwari, I will take up that point 10.8 page number from the study material. Nanda Goel, it is not about the firm having a subsidiary. It says that your firm cannot be appointed even in the subsidiary of the company. So ABC Limited is a company. It has a subsidiary DEF Limited. So if Mr. A is disqualified, even if he's holding any securities in DEF Limited, means in the subsidiary of the company also, if you're holding securities, then also you're disqualified. All right. Okay, Anil, I hope your point is clear now. 10 years restriction is limited only one company. No, Anil, then you become disqualified for all the companies because you have been convicted. So we are talking about the disqualification of the auditor. Examples we are taking for a respective company, but then you're disqualified for all the companies if you're convicted. Now let's do section 144. Then again, we'll go back to the study material because I think you're enjoying doing all the illustrations in between also. All right. An auditor appointed shall be providing to the company only the services which are approved by the board of directors or the audit committee as the case may be. Why it is written or the audit committee as the case may be? Because there are few companies which are mandatory to have the audit committee. And if audit committee is not there, then who will take the decisions? Board of directors. So board of directors or audit committee will decide what all work has to be done by the auditor. But section 144 is a very important section, which is also known as prohibited services. Such services shall not be included as a part of a role of an auditor, whether directly or indirectly to the company, its holding or its subsidiary. Now, somebody has raised a point, ma'am, I have not understood that 144. Please listen carefully. What is written over here? That means if Mr. A, let me take a different pen. If Mr. A is the auditor of my company, what is the name of my company? ABC Limited. Let's take the same person. We have been taking Mr. P as the auditor. Mr. P is the auditor of my company. ABC Limited has a subsidiary DEF Limited. Then Mr. P as an auditor will not give these kind of services to my company or to my holding company or to my subsidiary company. Suppose I have a subsidiary company DEF, I have a holding company PQR. उनको भी नहीं देनी ये वाली services, मुझे भी नहीं देनी, मेरी subsidiary को भी नहीं देनी. What is one name that is missing over here? Can this auditor give the services to my associate company? Yes, ma'am, or no, ma'am? And what is associate company? Can anyone tell me? A company in which we are having significant influence. When one company is having a significant influence on another company, they both are said to be associate company, and it also includes joint venture. And for having that relationship of significant influence, you shall be holding more than 20% of the paid up share capital in another company. So at least 20% holding if you're having in DEF, then you can provide these services to associate company, but you cannot provide it to the company which you're doing the audit, its holding or its subsidiary company. Point number 1 is clear that ये वाली services नहीं देनी. Point number 1 is board of directors or audit committee will decide your work. Point number 2 is the services not to be given to these services that we're going to discuss are not to be given to the company, its holding or subsidiary. Yes, you can give to the associate companies. Point number 3 is the meaning of the word directly or indirectly. Now, Mr. P has a brother, Mr. Q, who is also a chartered accountant or maybe a BCom accountant or finance person. Can Mr. Q, brother of Mr. P, give the services to company, holding or subsidiary company, any kind of internal audit service, let's assume? Can he give the service? No, ma'am, because indirectly bhi nahi de sakte. Indirectly means through your relative or through another firm or another company also you cannot. Neither you can give nor your relatives or anybody else is going directly or indirectly bhi you cannot give these kind of services. Is that clear? 4 points I've told you before doing what kind of services. So I hope those 4 points are clear. So board of directors or audit committee will decide your work. These services will not be given to the company, holding and its subsidiary, and directly and indirectly is the third point. Now, fourth point we're going to do what all services can be given. What all services are not to be given. Okay. Accounting and bookkeeping services. Now, children, you are the auditor of my company. Mr. A is the auditor of my company. can he do the accounting work of my company? If auditor will only do the accounting work, if he'll only making the entries in the ledgers and posting it in the subsidiary and making the trial balance, then what is he going to audit? His own work? If I am only making your books of accounts, why will I find mistakes in my own work? Auditor always have to be an independent person. Yes, very nice, Mahi. Sukhveer, everybody says that it is the responsibility of management. Yes, Sukhveer, that is the managed responsibility of management. Riddhi, Abhishek Mishra, all of you, good answers. Yes, Nanda Goyal, for associate company, the prohibition is not included. So number one, you cannot provide accounting and bookkeeping services to the company whose audit you're going to do. If Mr. B is my internal auditor, can he be appointed as my statutory auditor? No, ma'am. He cannot be appointed as a statutory auditor because one who is working as a, so you cannot do the work of internal auditor also. He will not directly ask you what are the services of 144. Examiner is going to give you a question like this. So Mr. A is my bookkeeping and accounting kind of work he's doing. He's a chartered accountant. Can I appoint him as the auditor? No. A company's internal audit is being done by Mr. B. Can he do the stat audit? No. The auditor of the company, Mr. P, can he do the design and implementation of financial information system? So there is an IT system to be made for how the financial information shall be flowing. The designing has to be done, implementation. Can the auditor do this kind of work for a company? The answer is no, he cannot do. Anil Army, this is because Section 144 clearly writes down that these services are not to be given to the company holding and subsidiary. Means my company where I'm holding 20% of the interest, there if you're giving any kind of these services, I don't have any problem if it's my auditor. If you're giving it to the company in which I'm holding more than 50% of the share, then Section 144 has a problem in that. Okay. Actuarial services. Actuarial is related to your valuation, insurance related services that also auditor cannot do. Investment advisory services. Your auditor cannot tell you. Your auditor in general can tell you that these are the good investments coming up in the market, but he cannot provide such kind of service to you. He cannot say that I'm going to help you to invest in certain mutual funds and advisory services. He is charging for that. He cannot do that. Investment banking services also auditor cannot provide these kind of services. Rendering of outsourced finance services. What is the meaning of outsourced finance? So you are a company, ABC Limited, and you have outsourced the work of accounting of the company or bookkeeping of the company, books of accounts. And you said that oh, my auditor is only going to do this outsourced financial services. Auditor cannot do these kind of services. Management services, he cannot be your employee. We have already read down under Section 141 that he cannot be the employee or the management of the company. Okay. Vedant Tiwari is saying, you cannot hear me? Mathematical expert. Yes, Manvi. Mathematicians provide estimates. Very good. So that is the kind of work in which auditor cannot be involved. Vedant Tiwari, maybe some problem in your internet connection. Others are reverting me. Outsource, Nanda Goyal, outsource means that you have given your work to an outsider. So they are giving you these kind of services. So there also the auditor cannot do these kind of outsourced work. And any other kind of services as may be prescribed. So whatever section tries to include those services, if it is written over there, those services can also be not included. I hope my voice is audible, children. It's clear to everyone. All right. Okay. Okay. Thank you so much for confirming. So accounting and bookkeeping, we cannot provide. Internal audit, we cannot provide. Designing of the financial information systems, actuary services. And those who are asking me, ma'am, we have to learn these services. Yes, you have to learn these 10 kind of services that cannot be provided. 10 or 8 to 9 kind of services you have to learn. So how you have to learn it? So accounting is not auditor's work. Internal audit is not auditor's work. So 2 points are related to investment, that is advisory and banking services. So we will learn that. Similarly, for outsourcing financial services, so these 3 points are related. Any outsourced financial services or any advisory banking services cannot be provided. Also the management and other services. And these 4 points separately you can learn. So related to services, basically there are 5 points. Actuarial services, advisory services, banking services, financial services, management services, other kind of services, as may prescribed. Clear? And first 3 points are related to your design and implementation, accounting ka system, financial information system, and internal audit also the auditor cannot. All right, these are the tasks which section 144 he cannot do. Yes, Kasak. So any advisory kind of thing that you're doing, that is prohibited. But consultancy, if you're doing as an auditor, any audit work, then there is not problem. Okay, okay. Thank you, Vedant Tiwari, for confirming. I'm glad now you can hear me clearly. Ma'am, can an auditor of ABC Limited provide these services to XYZ, both a company? Yes, Ritika Gupta, they cannot provide. If they're related companies, you cannot provide because neither directly nor indirectly. That is the point that they're trying to explain you over here. All right. Clear, everyone, for section 144. But before we move to section 145, we also have to do a small section of 142. Let me take it from that study material. Yes. So page number 10.28, somebody has raised a query over there. Mahi, you were asking something. Somebody was asking 10.28. What you have not understood over here, please tell me. The ceiling limit of 20, you don't have to count OPC, small companies and private companies. I hope this is clear. And before you have to take a certificate from the auditor, that is also clear. What point you have not understood? Are you talking about this point? Note third para, Tambeshwari is asking. Note third para. This paragraph. So this simply tries to tell you that if ABC Associates is a firm which is having CAs in practice and they are being appointed as my auditor of ABC Limited Company. So if you're having any business relationship among yourselves, then you cannot be appointed as the auditor. But there are two exceptions to this rule. Number one, it says that if the transactions that we are doing with you, whatever business I'm doing with you, is at arm's length price. So you don't have to go into detail of what is arm's length price. It simply tells you it will be written in the exam that it's an arm's length price means it's a very, very big detailed topic in itself. Arm's length price is your detailed topic of transfer pricing. So we don't have to go into that much detail. What we have to learn is if it is professional services, then you are not disqualified. And if it is at arm's length price, ordinary course of business, then you are not disqualified. Otherwise, you will be disqualified. Okay. Below third para, Tambeshwari, which one are you asking, child? This one, this simply tells you that the auditor has to give you a certificate for the appointment that yes, I am agreeing to work. The first day that we have done, when I told you appointment of the auditor, when the auditor is appointed, he has to give a certificate in the writing that I'm not disqualified under section 141(3)(g) and I am not crossing the limit of 20 companies. So that certification it is talking about, that a written consent has to be taken, that he is not holding excess of the company audit by the auditor. Means I'm only having the if I'm an auditor, Mr. A, okay, and you are appointing me in Tambeshwari Private Limited. If I'm already having the audit of 20 companies, can you appoint me as the auditor? Tell me. Now you don't know about this. No, ma'am. Why? Because I'm already crossed the limit of 20 companies. So I have to give you a certification that I'm holding the limit within the 20 companies. Then only you appoint me as the auditor. Yes, Nanda Goyal, it is a fair market price value that we are doing the transactions. But again, arm's length has number of transactions in its own. So any kind of professional services you're giving, Hardik, which are not falling under 144, then yes, there is no problem between the business connection. So my firm is providing you any financial, any professional services, then still you can appoint me. Like some tally related kind of things that you're providing, then you're not prohibited. All right. So now let's move to section 142. Section 142 is a very, yes, consultancy can also be a kind of professional service. That is absolutely clear. Remuneration of the auditor. What is the meaning of remuneration of the auditor? When you say remuneration of the auditor, what is the meaning of remuneration? Remuneration is a kind of a salary or fees that we need to pay to the auditor. Okay, a salary, bonus, commission amount given to the auditor for his services. Pooja, Joya, all of you, Ankit Mishra, Bala Murugan, please keep giving the answers that the questions I'm asking. Okay. So now the consideration that we're going to pay to the auditor is for the first auditor who will calculate the combination, who will decide the remuneration for the first auditor, who has appointed the first auditor, board of directors. So who is going to fix his fees? Of course, the board of directors will be fixing the fees for the first auditor. And what about the subsequent auditors? Here, the remuneration is fixed by the shareholders in the general meeting. So remuneration of first auditor is by the board of directors. Remuneration of subsequent auditors is by the shareholders in general meeting. What all is to be included and what all is not to be included in the remuneration? Remuneration is in addition to the fees payable to the auditor and include any expenditures incurred, that is out of pocket expense, and any facility extended to him. Now, as I always tell you children, chartered accountant, specifically the students, when you go for your articleship, the most luxurious thing that we enjoy is the kind of food and treatment that you get with the companies where you go and do the audit. So auditors are treated very nicely in different companies because they are going to help the companies. They're going to give advisory kind of things. They're going to check their financials. So you are considered to be having more knowledge because you are a chartered accountant. You are holding a degree of certificate of practice. So although I am an accountant of a company, I have prepared all the financial statements. I have seen it in compliance with accounting standards, but you are a professional. You are considered to be having much more knowledge than me. So they try to treat you very nicely so that you don't find many mistakes in our financials and you give your correct opinions. There should not be much of the qualifications. So all these expenditures of food or any out of pocket expenses, for example, you have to go and take any certain printouts for the company, or you have to travel to a client's place for different documentations to be collected. So all these out of pocket expenses, depending upon the agreement that the company has made with the audit firm or the auditors, they will also pay you this as a part of your remuneration and all the food and services that are being offered to you. But it will not include any remuneration paid for any other services rendered by him at the request of the company. So company tells him that why don't you extend us some Anil Army has written something. Okay, I'll just read. What is the meaning of remuneration, Karan Kumar? That is what we are doing. Remuneration means उसको पैसा क्या देना है, सैलरी क्या देते हैं उसको. जो भी हमने फीस फिक्स करी है प्लस जो भी हम वो एक्सपेंडिचर करता है हमारे ऑडिट के लिए, मतलब सपोज आप एक ऑडिटर हो, यू हैव कम ऑन अ बाइक एंड देन यू हैव टू गो टू टेक आउट द प्रिंट आउट्स और व्हाटएवर पेट्रोल एक्सपेंडिचर, सो दैट इज नोन एज आउट ऑफ पॉकेट एक्सपेंस. Whatever expenditures you have incurred in connection with the audit of the company, that is also part of your remuneration that will be paid to you by the company. And any other facility can also be given, like you're giving them food or any other kind of services, anything that you can give to the auditor as the remuneration. But if the company is asking that why don't you do such certain management services or any other kind of services, that is not to be included in the remuneration if you're doing anything additional for the company. Example number 11, SHRD Private Limited is engaged in the business of software and consultancy. There's a company which is in the business of software and consultancy, and company has an annual turnover of 2,000 crores. But the profit margins are not very good as compared to the industry standards. The company proposed the appointment at the board meeting. However, the remuneration was not finalized. Very, very interesting point, very important example. So you have fixed the auditor's appointment, but the remuneration is not fixed. Statutory auditors completed the engagement formalities, including the engagement letter. So children, when you appoint the auditor, so for example, I have appointed E&Y, Ernst & Young as my auditor. So engagement letter is signed. So it will read out that there is an engagement of ABC Limited appointing the Ernst & Young Private Limited as their auditors. So this is the engagement letter between the companies and auditors. And it was written that the engagement letter will be signed without fees. That is the clause that the fees will be decided mutually. So do you think that this kind of engagement letter is valid? Means can we decide about the fees to be paid later? Can we say that the engagement letter is being signed and they have written that the fees will be decided later? Yes, ma'am, it is absolutely a valid. Mahi says no, not valid. It is valid. Good, Kashish, Tambeshwari, Hardik. Why? Because law allows you that such kind of arrangement is a valid arrangement. So remuneration, number one, it can be fixed immediately, mutually decided. Agar it would decide karte hain, okay, we'll start the engagement and the remuneration will be fixed later, then also it is absolutely correct. They're not saying that we will not pay you the fees, with the clause that the fees to be mutually decided. Mutually decided means we'll sit for a cup of coffee together and we'll decide what fees that we're going to pay you. So that is also a valid engagement letter where the fees is not yet decided. Oh, the Meshwari says, ma'am, I'm excited for articleship when you said that. So yes, very nice, children, because after you complete your intermediate, then you will be starting a CA articleship. You should, CA is a very, very beautiful journey. You know, it's so much hard work that you put for studying and sitting day and night with your books. It really gives you a good kind of returns also for your efforts. So when you go for your articleship, try to learn the work also, try to enjoy that kind of experience also, because the moment you start your articleship, you'll start feeling like a professional future budding chartered accountants. Always try to dress up in a very formal attire because that gives you a feel of your profession. So be very much firm related to those points also. Okay, let's move ahead. So everyone is clear about the remuneration of the auditors. So section 141 we have done completely. Section 142, 144 are the services that you all have to remember. Nanda Goel, definitely I'll share my experience also, but time when we have, because we can't take the topic little deviated because we have so much to cover today. So let's begin the most important section for today's class, that is section 143. What are the powers and duties of the auditors? Okay. What are the powers and duties of auditors? This section tries to tell you in detail what all work actually the auditor has to do. So the auditor has to sign the audit report. How he is going to make this detailed audit reports? You want to do section 149, 145 we'll do later, because we still have to complete section 143, which is, you can see, is a very, very huge section, which I'm going to take up from here. So this is your remuneration. We have already discussed about the remuneration, the first auditor, second auditor, eligibility qualification, section 141 is also done. Now let's start with the powers and duties of the auditors and the auditing standards also related to that. So first 3 points are going to tell you what is the power of the auditors. Now, the way I have been telling you that keep making down the notes with me. Again, whatever I'm going to tell you, keep making down the notes, because after this topic, we are going to jump to the question and answer session. So powers of the auditor. Auditor can do what rights he has, what powers he has. So every auditor of the company have the right, number one, to access the books of accounts and vouchers all the time. So if I am the auditor, Mr. A, I come to ABC Limited and I said, okay, please give me a balance sheet, profit and loss account, vouchers, everything, please get it to me. Can the company refuse to me for giving all these information? Whether it is kept at the registered office or any other place, can I ask for it? Can I ask for the informations? Can I ask them, please show me your books of accounts, please show me your vouchers? Yes, 100%. That is my right as an auditor. Arey bhai, you will show me your books of accounts or your financial statement, then only I will try to start my work. Na? So many a times the auditors have to sit idle in the first initial few days because their books are not complete. So it happens in your practical experiences when you go for auditing. So you have a right to access all the times. So that is your mutual understanding that you practically do when you are actually out for your audit work. But yes, you have to have asked for the books of accounts, vouchers, whether they are kept at RO office or any other place. So if they have kept it any other place, they will have to make arrangements because you have to see all the financials. Then only you can give your final audit report. You cannot say that the company has not only given me the information, so I cannot give. So you have to keep asking. You have to have the access to the books of account. And you are entitled to require from the officer such information and explanation which is necessary to perform your duty. So now, if you want to see, there is an item in the balance sheet which is written plant and machinery worth rupees 5 crores. So you have a suspicion that this company is not having good turnover or it is not doing a very valid business. Why there is a how come they purchase this kind of asset? So you want more information. So you want to see the purchase vouchers, or when this machinery was purchased, you want to inquire about it, you want to need an explanation. So you can ask from the offices of the company, which is required for your duties as an auditor. Okay, so this chapter becomes more interesting when you are Yes, Kashish, company cannot refuse. If company is refusing, then there can be a clash in the audit report. You can qualify your audit report. They will not refuse because they have signed an audit letter or engagement letter with you. And all these informations will become very interesting the moment you start preparing for your group 2 and you're studying auditing with that. So yes, Hardik, absolutely correct. The audit procedures will be performed. Yes, then only they can give the opinion. Absolutely correct. So number one, you will go and ask for the books of accounts. Number two, you can also ask for the information and explanation that you need for the duties. And number three, you can also ask for the records of the subsidiaries and associates required for consolidation of the financial statements. So remember consolidation of financial statements, we have done in detail about consolidation when we were doing chapter number 9, accounts of companies. So if the company is having its subsidiary and holding companies and associate companies, then you can ask the records for that also. Because when you will prepare the consolidated financial statements, जब आप बनाओगे देखोगे, so you need the records that from where is the profit of subsidiary company coming. So you can ask the records of those subsidiaries, holdings, and associate companies also. Yes, Tambeshwari, then definitely you can give an opinion. See, you will give a disclaimer that the information given is on the basis of the information given by the company. But you can also give a qualification if you feel like, depending upon the main circumstances. All right, so three things: powers of the auditor to ask for the books of accounts and vouchers, to ask for the information and explanation which is required. And number three, if the company is having subsidiaries and holding and associates, then you can ask the information for that also, which is required for the consolidation of the financial statements. Now, 6 important matters which we are going to discuss in detail, about which the auditor can inquire about. Auditor is going to inquire about. There are 6 important matters which we are going to discuss. So what are the 6 important matters that the auditor can inquire? Means inquiry कर सकता है, पूछ सकता है, इन चीजों के बारे में बात कर सकता है. सेक्शन 143 में उसको पावर दी गई है. Number 1, with the loans and advances given by the company, are they properly secured? And the terms on which they are given are not prejudicial to the interest of the company. Now, what is the meaning of this line? First of all, what is the meaning of loans and advances? Can a company give certain loans to outsiders? Yes, ma'am. We have done the topic of acceptance of deposits. We have done registration of charges. We understand company can borrow money also. Company can lend money also. So if any loan is given by the company, whether it is properly secured, what is the meaning of security? Tomorrow, if the outsider fails to pay me my money back, I will sell the security and I will redeem my money. So whether the company has proper security or not, your work as an auditor to inquire about this. Plant and machinery 5 crore का है, security तो नहीं दिया हुआ इसका कहीं, या फिर loans and advances अगर दिया है किसी को तो proper security ली है कि नहीं ली. And the terms on which it has been made are prejudicial to the interest of the companies, whether it is prejudicial or it is not prejudicial. What is the meaning of prejudicial to the company? See, for example, there is a director in a company, Mr. A. And this company, ABC Limited, has given loan to this director, Mr. A. And the company said, okay, we'll not be charging interest from you. You can take a loan, but we'll not charge interest. So generally, interest is charged and security is to be provided. So why you're not charging interest? Why are you giving this kind of loan to Mr. A director? Is he your relative? What is the suspicion in that? So auditor can inquire. This is known as terms prejudicial. So there is prejudicial to the interest of company, means it is affecting the interest of my company. Company is giving loan to charge interest, right? So if you're not charging interest, means there's something prejudicial. Prejudicial means it is affecting the interest of my company. Then I need to inquire in that. Point number 2, whether the transactions are represented merely by book entries or they are real transactions. For example, if you have done revaluation of the property, the value of land and building is actually 10 crores, but you're showing 90 crores. So if you're reevaluating the assets, if you're just doing it by mere book entries, they're not real happenings of the things, then also you have to inquire about those kind of things. Again, if it is prejudicial, means if it is affecting, if the mere book entries are affecting the prejudicial interest, then you have to inquire about that. What is the third point? If the company, number 1, not being an investment or banking company, I'll come to this point later on. I'll come to this bracket wala point later on. What we have to read over here is, if the assets of the company, what kind of assets? The shares, debentures, or other securities, company is selling them at a price less than at what they have purchased. Now, if I will buy the shares, I will always sell at a higher price. नुकसान थोड़ी ना करोगे आप, लॉस पे बेचोगे इन्वेस्टमेंट, बताओ जरा. If you have any asset, will you sell it at loss? So whether the company is selling its assets, which includes shares, debentures, and other securities at a price less than at what they have purchased, then you have to inquire, why are you doing this? Why factor? Why did you sell it at less price? Were you having any financial losses? Was there any problem? Why did you wait for the profit? Why did you sell it at loss? So you as an auditor can inquire in this. But this is not applicable to the investment company and banking company. Why? Because it is their business to do sale and purchase of securities. Now, don't ask them this question. It is their business. They are doing sale and purchase of securities. They are investment companies. It is a banking company. It is their routine business to sell the securities. So you will not question the investment and banking companies. But other than investment and banking companies, yes, you can inquire if the assets are sold at a price less than at what they were purchased. Point number 4, whether any loans and advances have been shown as deposits. You have given the loans and you're showing them as deposits. So again, the auditor is going to inquire about whether any personal expenditures have been charged to revenue account. So you have done personal expenditures. Have you put it in your P&L account? That should not be happening. P&L account should only be reflecting your revenue statement. That is whatever is coming from the business and whatever you're spending for the business. But these drawings and personal expenses, car petrol expenses done for the office business can be shown, but car personal expenditures done, your aeroplane ticket booked for going to Dubai shall not be reflected. For holiday expenditures shall not be reflected in your revenue account. Okay. If it is stated in the books and documents that any shares have been allotted for cash, whether cash has been actually received, and if no cash has been received, whether the position stated in the balance sheet is correct, regular, and not misleading. Very interesting. What is the entry when the shares are received for the capital? Share capital issued and cash received. What is the entry that you do? Cash account debited to share capital. This is what we do. Remember your account. Tell me, you have to tell me. Your account students. So what is the meaning when the shares are issued? When the shares are issued, company will get cash. Company will get money. Remember, prospectus chapter, company will be receiving money in a separate bank account. That money will be kept. Cash debited to equity share capital. Very good, very good. Bank debited to equity share capital. Very nice. Very nice. Good. So when the shares are issued in cash, company will get the cash. And if this entry has been made in the company cash to share capital, then the auditor can check if cash has been actually received by the company or not. He can inquire this. This is what the point is telling. Auditor will check all the P&L statement and the balance sheet to check if it is reflecting the correct and true view or not, whether the cash has been actually received or you're just putting the entry. So auditor can inquire into this matter also. So you can simply write down whether shares have been issued and cash to be received. So cash account debited to share capital is your entry. You don't have to write this entry in your exam, but you should know the meaning. It helps you to understand the meaning that what this point is talking about. So the auditor can check whether all the cash has been actually received. He can see all the balance sheet is correct, regular, and it is not misleading. When it can be misleading, you are showing that you have issued the shares, but there is no entry of receiving the cash. Then that means there is a misleading information in the financial statements. So what are the 6 points? My students are going to tell me. First, we will learn the 3 points. What is the power of the auditors? So the power of the auditors is to check the books of accounts, ask for the vouchers, accessing of the information and explanation, asking for the subsidiary holding and their records if you want to do the consolidation. And then second point is, what are the 6 points of the matters? Everybody quickly write down in the chat box. Loans and advances. If loans and advances made by the company properly secured or not. Loans and advances, if they have been shown as deposits, raise the question. Personal expenditures shown into the revenue account, raise a question. Cash received for the share capital issued, whether the cash has been received or not on allotment, inquire about that. Then this fifth point, if the company has made a mere book entries, if it is prejudicial, raise a point about that. And the last point is, other than investment and banking companies, where any securities have been sold at a price less than they were purchased, then also the auditor can raise a question. So if there is a company ABC Limited, very good, Pallavi, Ritika Gupta, all those who have written the correct points, well done, children. If the company ABC Limited has sold its securities worth rupees 100, which were purchased for a price of rupees 80, can the auditor inquire about that? So you will write that it is falling under the powers and duties of the auditor under section 143 and subsection 1, clause C, this point falls. If it is not an investment and banking companies, then yes, the auditor can inquire about this point, that why the security is sold at lesser price. Is that clear, everyone? Everybody's clear about this point? Can we move to the next point, audit report? So audit report, now we are going to make the audit report. Very good. Kashish, nice, good points. You have given the 3 powers. Pallavi, Tameshwari, Anjali Kashyap, good. Kasak Yadav, everybody has written the correct point. So this helps you to learn also. So again, now when I'll give you a break, 141 and all these powers of 6 points of 143, you will fatapat se revise and learn when I will give you a break. But I will give you a break at 8, not right now. Audit report. Audit report, the auditor will make a report to the members of the company. So after you have done your audit, what you have to do, children? You have asked for the information explanation, you have checked the vouchers, you have seen everything. Now you're going to make a report to the members of the company on the accounts examined. Number 1, you will give the report on the basis of accounts that you have examined, that whatever financial statements you have laid down before me, I have checked them. And these are the financial statements which are to be laid down by the company in the general. Why this pen is not working? Why somebody is erasing it? Okay. So the auditor will make a report on the basis of the accounts that we have examined. All right. So now it will not happen. Number 1. Why I cannot use the annotations? Yes. So I have to make the audit report, which is to be given to the shareholders. Shareholders, the audit report will be given to the shareholders, and they're going to put this in front of the Ajit sir, somebody there at the IT. Whatever I'm typing, it's just going. I don't know why it is happening. It is disappearing. After taking into account the provisions of accounting standards, so what is the second point? All the accounting or auditing standards by the company has been followed or not, and whatever information or explanation has been given to the auditor. So number 1 is that the information to be given to the shareholders. Number 2, on the basis of accounting standards. And number 3, whatever information and explanation was given to him, auditor is going to express his audit report on the basis of this information. Is that clear? So what is section 143 subsection 2 trying to tell you? That audit report will be prepared on the basis of financial statement. This report is to be given to the shareholders. Financial statements will be laid in the annual general meeting. He will tell that whatever matters to be included in the audit report, that are the matters which we are going to do under 143 subsection 3. And also, he will also express his opinion. Somebody was mentioning about the opinion. This is the point related to your opinion, that whatever the opinions were there, whether they have expressed it clearly or not, to the best of his information, and the accounts gave a true and correct picture of at the end of the financial year and profit and loss account. Okay, now let's discuss about the auditor's report. Now, auditor's report is going to include huge number of points. We are just going to discuss first few points before we go for the break. whether he has obtained all the information and explanations to the best of his knowledge and the details required for this audit. So we have just done in the previous point that you can ask for the auditors, all the information and explanation can be asked, right? We have just done this first point. Now here in the audit report, you have to tell them that, look, I went, you were asking them, ma'am, we will qualify. Now you can put it in the audit report that I asked for all this information and explanation. And if it is not given, what is its effect on the financial statements? So there was an entry in the profit and loss account, depreciation has been charged on the plant and machine. You as an auditor, you had a doubt on that depreciation. You asked them to show you the documents and what is the purchase price of the plant and machinery. You want to tally it as per the accounting standards have been followed or not. If they don't give you this information and this information has an effect on the financial statements, then free to add it in your audit report. What will you add? Please keep breaking down the points. I don't know why annotations are not working. So under 143 subsection 3A, where I have written, so make the first point, underline information and explanation, point number 1. You can ask for that. And point number 2, if details not given, what is its effect on the financial statements? Clear? Then the second point is related to your books of accounts. If the books of accounts have been kept by the company as examined properly or not. So proper books of accounts has been maintained by the company or not. What is the meaning of proper books of accounts? All the journals, ledgers, vouchers, subsidiary books, everything is being prepared by the company or not. Children, my voice is audible. Everyone can hear me correctly because I can see certain errors in between. Okay. Good. And you can see the annotations are getting erased or only I can see this? Okay. So whether in his opinion, the proper books of accounts have been kept by the company and proper returns have been received for the branches not visited by him. So can a company have a branch somewhere else? So it is very difficult for the auditor to go and visit all those branches. So he will ask for the periodical returns. Remember, in the accounts of the companies, I have told you section 128, 129 when we did that if the company is having different branches, they will ask that the periodical returns have to be sent. These periodical returns have to be checked by the auditor while doing his audit, that whether the information which has been kept by the company at RO, we will check the proper books of accounts are maintained and whether proper periodical returns have been received from the branches. Is that correct? Okay. Whether the reports on the accounts of the branch office of the company audited under subsection 8 by the company's audit has been sent to him. Thankfully, it is back now. So number 1, the books of accounts you have to check. And secondly, whether the adequate returns have been received from the branch office. What is the third point related to? First point is related to information and explanation. Second point is related to books of accounts. Third point is specifically related to the branch auditor's report. Please write down, it becomes easy for you to learn. Then branch auditor's report. So if any branch office of the company has been audited under subsection 8, then if you have received, whether the company auditor has received that branch audit report or not, and how you have dealt it while preparing your report. So there is a company in Bombay which is having different branches. A Bombay office they have opened up in Andheri, but they have different branches in Juhu and other places. So in those places, whether you have received the proper branch auditor's report, so there is a separate branch auditor who has been appointed for those audits. And now you are the statutory auditor. The main head office is in Andheri, so you will receive the branch of auditor's report also, and you have to write down how you have dealt it while preparing your own audit. Okay. Yes, proper summarized reports. That is absolutely correct. Everyone clear for the first 3 points, the auditor's report? Now let's move to the fourth point. Again, it is so the first 5 points are related to the financial statements only. So the fourth point says company's balance sheet and profit and loss account. Are they in agreement with the books of accounts? What is the meaning of balance sheet in agreement with the books of accounts? So I told you balance sheet is showing plant and machinery purchase for 5 crores. So there will be a journal entry, there will be subsidiary books everywhere, and there is a trial balance which shall be showing the same information of 5 crores plant and machinery purchase. This is how you actually do. Whenever you get the information, you first prepare a journal. Then you book the entries. We do the posting of the entries in subsidiary books, different books of accounts. Then you have to make a trial balance. The company's trial balance will also be always asked for a trial balance whenever you go for the audit, because you have to see whether the information from the trial balance have been floated correctly in the profit and loss and balance sheet accounts. So from the trial balance, you have been doing all these things that you actually do in your corporate accounting is something that you have to go and verify as an auditor. So there you learn how to prepare these books of accounts. You're learning, right? You know how to prepare balance sheet, profit and loss account. So what is the main statement that you need for that? That is here you have to see the returns, books of accounts, other things also. There you need a trial balance out of which your balance sheet and profit and loss account is prepared. So whatever entry is given in the trial balance, whatever adjustment notes are given, have they been properly floated in your balance sheet and profit and loss account? This is what you have to check as an auditor. You also have to see that the financial statements comply with the accounting standards. Remember accounting standards? We have studied about accounting standards. So whatever auditing and accounting standards to be followed. So AS for the depreciation. Which is the AS for the depreciation? Can anyone tell me? Ind AS number for depreciation. Yes, Praveen, thank you so much. Now I think it's correct. You can see it visibly. AS 10 section 133, yes, absolutely correct for your accounting standards. And AS 10 is for your depreciation on fixed assets. Okay. So unalarming section 123 is not correct one for this one. So don't write sections if you're not sure about it. So never give a wrong section because then it creates a very bad impression. In exam also, if you remember the sections, write them. If you don't remember, as per the provisions of Companies Act, that would be better. Okay. 133 years, come on, 23 nahi hai, okay, and the fifth, F1 is the observations and comments of the auditor on financial effects that will have adverse effect on the functioning of the company. So now I'm going to explain you this F point. So it says, number one, we have discussed information and explanation. You have written in your notes I and E point. Second is, and if it has not been given, then what effect it had in your financial statement. Point number two is for your books of accounts, which are kept at the registered office. And have you got a proper periodic summarized returns for the branches that you have noticed? Third is for the branch audit. So the branch audit report has been received by the statutory auditor and how he has dealt while preparing his report. Fourth is B&A balance sheet and profit and loss account comply with your books of accounts. That is your trial balance wala point. And fifth is accounting standards are being followed or not. Now, sixth point I'm going to explain you. If there is any observation on the financial transactions which is having adverse functioning of the company, it is having adverse functioning on the company means, say, for example, you're a company ABC Limited and you have done any kind of business with an outside company, but you're not getting proper returns for that. Maybe that was not required, but you as a company, you have incurred lots and lots of expenditure. Say, for example, 10 crore expenditure you have incurred, but that venture is not giving you, that is a not profitable venture. You're not getting any good return from that. So that is having the adverse effect on your business. All right, that is going to adversely affect your business. So these kind of transactions which are having adverse effect on your business, that is the auditor's responsibility to report about these kind of transactions. Is that clear? And then seventh point also, let me do it with you. Whether any director is disqualified. So what is section 164 subsection 2? That is part of your CA final, where the directors is disqualified. So auditor will see section 164 subsection 2 rules he will see if any director is disqualified as per that provision, he needs to report for that also that this particular director, Mr. Ray, is disqualified, or the directors are not disqualified as per the provisions of 164 subsection 2. Ma'am, do we have to learn 164? No, you don't have to learn. That is part of your director's CA final syllabus. But for the audit report point, yes, you have to learn this line that any director who is disqualified as per section 164 subsection 2, that also needs to be reported in the audit report. Is that clear? So why I have done these 6-7 points? Because now you have lots of things to revise and go through. Fatapat se go through all the illustrations from the study material. I'm going to give you a break for 5-7 minutes. So please, sometimes somebody, okay, Praveen, but then you are investing for to reduce taxes, but then you are doing that Dinshaw Maningji Pettit kind of case. Corporate veil will be lifted. If you're falling under that category, then it will be a separate story. So to reduce taxes, you will fall under that evasion of taxes categories. Remember corporate veil theory, the very initial days that you have studied about that. So your investment is for loss purposes, then the auditor will have to review it whether you are doing any adverse nature of work. So there can be two opinions. Maybe as an auditor, I'm telling you that this is a not good transaction, it is not profitable. But you, as a director of the company, you tell me we are expecting a future profit, or maybe we have just done an investment. There can be a discussion on the same. But if, as an auditor, it is my responsibility under Section 143, subsection 3. So these are important sections, children, which I want you to learn. Subsections, I have never told you so far the subsections, but Section 141, subsection 3, then 143, subsection 3. So they're similar, one subsections that you can learn. These are important subsections. And another subsection is 143 subsection 12, which largely talks about fraud. That is also a very important section. So audit में थोड़ा सा audit वाले chapter में sections learn कर लो, because it is related to your group 2 also. You will anyways going to do whole of the auditing also as a subject. ठीक है? I think let's take a small break here. Go through these points and let's meet after a small break. I hope you have read all the points that we have done. And now, as promised, we are going to have a important question answers round because you have revised everything. Let me just take you in the question answers. All right. Yes, students, any doubts meanwhile you have, because I'm just opening the question answers for all of you. If anyone wants to ask any doubts, you can raise your hands. All right. So I think these are the questions that we have done in the last class related to section 139. Today I wanted to do so this is the certificate. Somebody was asking about the certificate. Remember, we discussed this point in the last lecture also, that the certificate that you have to give that you are eligible for appointment as an auditor, your appointment is as per the terms within the limit of 20 audits, and there are no any proceedings against the auditor. That also you have to report if you are being appointed as the auditor in some company. Yes, Anil Army, don't worry about that. I think we have done this common partner point also, which we have stated that if you're a common partner and the eligibility criteria will only be 5 years, and then you go for the cooling period. All right. Now, this is a very, very interesting question. All of you, all the eyes and ears here, please listen to this question carefully, and then I will give you time to revert on the chat box. 1/4 of the subscribed capital of AMC Limited was held by the government of Rajasthan. Mr. Vikas, a chartered accountant, was appointed as an auditor of the company at AGM by an ordinary resolution. Mr. Mukesh, a shareholder, objects to the manner of appointment because it is violating Companies Act. Decide whether the objection of Mr. Mukesh is tenable. Also, what are the consequences of the appointment under this act? So now they have given certain points related to the capital of ABC Limited being held by Government of Rajasthan, and the auditor has been appointed by the company. Just analyze what should have been done and if there is anything wrong or not. Everybody will read this question and give the answers in the chat box. Hurry up. Excellent answers given by all of you. Very nice. First, you had to find the hidden point, whether it's a government company or not. Sukhveer Kaur, Hardik, Dilip, Sanya, Pallavi, Ja, good. So you had to tell them whether it is a government company or not. So 1/4 of the share capital means 25% of the shares. So if you're holding only 25% of the share, do you become a government company? How much holding is required, children, to become a government company? Hurry up, tell me. 51%, central or state or any of the government. Very good. Those who were able to connect this point, give yourself an excellent. First point was that it is not a government company. Now, under 139, appointment of the auditor other than the government company is to be done generally with the members, except with the first auditor, the casual vacancy not caused by the resignation, it has to be done by board of directors. So here the appointment is done by ordinary resolution and in no way any exception has been given. So the contention of Mr. Mukesh is not valid. The appointment is valid under the Companies Act. So why it is trying to tell you only the first auditor's appointment has to be done by board of directors. Subsequent auditor you're appointing by company in general meeting, it is absolutely fine. So give yourself a patting, those who have written the correct answer. Well done. All right, let's do the second one. Board of Directors of Moonlight Limited, a listed company, appointed Mr. Tell, Chartered Accountant, as its first auditor within 30 days of the date of registration to hold the office from date of incorporation to conclusion of first AGM. That is fairly enough. He was reappointed to hold the office till the conclusion of first AGM till sixth AGM. Is it valid? The appointment and reappointment. Following cases, appointment of Mr. Tell done by board of directors, reappointment done by in the above situation at the first AGM. In case Mr. Bell, CA, was a reappointment of Mr. Tell at the first AGM in the above situation. Is it valid or not? You have to tell. Mr. Bell was appointed as the auditor at the first AGM to hold the office till the conclusion of the fifth AGM. No, Hardik and Pallavi, you don't have to tell yes right now like this. You have to tell me first, second, and third. You have to read the question very carefully. There are 3 different points. So examine the 3 different points and then write the answer in the chat box. Point number 1 का yes no है, point number 2 का yes no है, point number 3 का yes no क्या है. Analyze it and I give you 2 minutes. Quickly answer this. Very wonderful answers given by all of you. And few Gurminder Kaur has just given for the first point. Okay, Mahi says for the third point. So let's quickly do the conclusion. How you have to write the answer, that is very, very important, children. So here you need to explain them. What are the provisions of section 139? If you don't remember the subsection, it is absolutely fine, but you have to tell them that 139 tells you that the first auditor is appointed by BOD within 30 days and every company shall have at the annual general meeting appoint the auditor. So how is the subsequent auditor appointed? By the company in the general meeting. From the conclusion of first AGM, he is going to hold the office till the sixth AGM. So what is the term? For 5 consecutive years. So point number 1, 2, and 3, which tries to give you a conclusion. First, you have to give the provisions of the act related to that point. Is that clear? Now let's walk to the conclusions. So those who have given first appointment is valid. It is absolutely correct because board of directors appoint the first auditor. Subsequent auditor being appointed at the first AGM and he is going to hold the office. Remember when we started doing this today's chapter, in the revision we have done that even the same auditor can be appointed till the conclusion of 6th AGM because this 5 years period is counted along with the first auditorship. And now you're giving that you're appointing the auditors for the 4 years is not in the compliance because you give the appointment always for the 5 years. So the third point is not valid. First and second was valid. Those who have given this correct answer, Nancy Hingu, good. You have also come here now. Pranav, Kashish, Dilip, Kasak Yadav, Hardik, Aisha, very good. Ritika Gupta, all of you children, all of you. You want to do one or two more questions? This is very interesting. Let's do this one. All right. Everybody has written yes, ma'am. Okay, let's do one more. So Maya Limited is a public company. Maharashtra Bank, a nationalized bank, is a shareholder holding 18% of the capital of the company. Explain following shall be appointed as the first and subsequent auditor. So there are three ways of addressing this question. One is this. Or if I say a public company whose shareholders include XYZ Bank holding 18% of the share capital. Or there can be a question which has been taken from your own RTPs that Bank of Baroda is holding 12% of the capital. The general insurance, national insurance company is holding 10% of the capital. 8% of the capital is being held by public financial institutions, state finance corporations. How will you do the appointment of the auditor in case of a government company? So quickly tell me the analysis. What are the key points to be included in this question? I give you 2 minutes again and hurry up and do this question. You simply have to tell me what will be the answer for the appointment of the government company, whether it is a government company or not in the first two cases and the third case, and how will you appoint the auditor? I think this was the easiest question that I've given to all of you. So what are the key pointers to be seen in this question? It is not a government company since there is only 18% of the holding. Hence, the appointment of the auditor will be as applicable to non-government companies. How the appointment of first auditor will happen, 30 days, board of directors will appoint. Otherwise, 90 days will be given for the appointment by the shareholders in AGM. Auditor will hold the office from first AGM to sixth AGM. That is the same point. Written consent and certificate from the auditor has to be taken and the information to ROC in 15 days have to be sent. Is that clear, everyone? So those who were able to judge it, that it is not, oh my God, Pallavi has written that how the auditor is appointed by C and AG. So see, children, if you'll go to the first two parts of the question, we're just holding 18% of the capital. It is not a government company. Even in the third case, Bank of Baroda is holding 12% of the capital in the company. Insurance company is holding 10%, so 22%, again 8%. So again, it is less than 18% only or 28%. So it is not 15% hold, 51% of the holding. Pranav, very good. So in all the cases, very good, very good. Yes, yes, Hardik, don't worry, you'll get all these PPTs. Don't worry. The content is majorly important for all of you to understand. And I hope you have understood this question nicely. Now, the last question for the day is Mr. X, a chartered accountant, was appointed by the board of directors. No, Mahi, we'll have the next class on 30th. See, Pallavi Jha, I'm so glad she has accepted his mistake. And let me read it loud to what she has written. Ma'am, I didn't read the question clearly. And yes, this is not a government company. And this is the biggest mistake which we all make in the exam. हमें आता सब है, but हमें लगता है yes, yes, ये तो मुझे पता है. और हम फटाफट से आंसर लिखना शुरू कर देते हैं. So my dear students, be very very careful. Read the question twice because so much information is overloaded in your head. You have done so many chapters, and by the time you'll be going in the examination hall, so much of the information will be there in your brain. So read the question twice, think about it, think about the logic, why he's asking you, and then try to answer. Nanda Goel, there were separate three questions. What are you asking? There was not one question. Mr. X is a chartered accountant appointed by the board of directors of AB Limited as the first auditor. The company in general meetings removed Mr. X without seeking the approval of central government and appointed Mr. Y as the auditor. I give you 2 minutes. Quickly answer me, is it valid or not? And give me valid reasons. So correct answer given by everyone. This is how you have to briefly write about this. It is not valid. You're writing it is not government company approved. The question here was that approval of CG is required. You have to remove the auditor. Section 140 is applicable. That's why I changed the question. 139 is now on your tips. You have understood very clearly how the first auditor, subsequent auditor, casual vacancy, and how the government auditor is appointed. And you have also seen a very important thing that definition of government company also comes in between in the picture. But here, section 140 simply is talking about your removal of the auditor. You remove him by passing a special resolution only after taking approval of central government, and auditor shall be given the reasonable opportunity of being heard. Since you have not taken the approval of central government, therefore it is an invalid removal of the first auditor. You can remove the first auditor, but you cannot do it without seeking the approval of. Yes, Seri 2 form is absolutely correct, Kashish, that you're mentioning. But you have to give a valid reasons why this question was asked. That is, central government's approval has to be taken. Is that clear, everyone? And yes, there will be liability also if you're not following the rules, right? SR required, CG approval both required. That's absolutely correct. So many of you have given the correct answer. So I hope students, you enjoyed this session, and I hope you are, thank you so much, Pallavi, for writing crystal clear. I'm glad you enjoyed the session. So I hope everyone enjoyed the class. Anyone have any doubts? So now we are going to meet on 30th of December, and we'll be winding up this chapter. Thank you so much, Ritika Gupta, Abhishek Mishra. Very good. I'm glad that you're writing that, ma'am. We are answering it correctly and we are enjoying the session. That's wonderful. So Wednesday is Merry Christmas, Nanda Goel. That's why we don't have a class on Wednesday. But yes, we are definitely going to meet on 30th. That is next Monday. All right. Thank you, Kashish. Thank you, Ditya. Thank you, children. And thank you for writing that, no doubts. Thank you, Mahi. Thank you so much. I'm so glad to read this out. Thank you so much. I'm really glad that you enjoyed the session. And all the best, children. See you soon. And please keep revising. The way we have revised in the class, make your notes, revise it, do practice the questions that we have done. Writing practice is very important. All right. Goodbye. See you all. Just 2 days before the new year, we'll be meeting. All right. Thank you so much. Thank you, Tambeshwari, Nanda Goel, Nancy Hindu. Thank you, children. Thank you, all of you.